Ladies and gentlemen, Nebraska is bowl eligible. What a performance by the offense. I have not been this happy on a Saturday in a long time. I mean, honestly, it feels weird to be happy on a Saturday. But I'm going to let some people pile in here. Might have a couple of guests on the show today. However, like I said, it's going to be a celebration today. We're going to get some comments here. I'm going to go for as long as y'all are in the comments. So, like I said, we're celebrating tonight. So, as long as y'all want to be in the comments and chop it up with me, we're going to go through everything post game wise. And yeah, y'all just stay with me, and then we'll keep this thing rocking and rolling. But what a beautiful performance by the offense! 44 points. That's with 2 drop touchdowns. Everything that I kind of talked about last week that the offense had improved upon. Sorry if my mic's too loud. That the offense had improved upon. It came to fruition today, right? The proof was kind of in the metrics last week, and now everything kind of came together at a perfect time, and the rest is history. 44 points, back up the Brinks truck, like I said, for Dana Holgorsen. But it was just a absolutely, beautifully executed performance. Defense, man, secondary needs a lot of help. But I'm not going to try to focus too much on the negatives right now. Nebraska's bowl eligible. Chance at 8 wins still on the table with the bowl game, and then Iowa next week. Iowa ran the ball 58 times today, by the way. So I don't know if that's necessarily a recipe for success against Nebraska, but this Wisconsin team, it was a toss-up game in terms of the point spread, and turns out that Nebraska was able to kind of finally find their footing on offense. Holgorsen simplified everything. The execution was great. Talked about last week, the offensive line had their best pass block grade since Northern Iowa in week 2. Actually, that was their second best grade of the season. So, albeit against a Power 5 opponent, and Nebraska had more points against a Power 5 opponent in the first half than they have any game under Matt Rule in terms of points scored in a full game. They had that in the first half. Just unbelievable, and better late than never, right? What a call by, Matt Rule to, understand that Satterfield wasn't working. He wasn't right for the job, and he goes and makes a move. He was aggressive. He didn't wait around. He went and made a move. He didn't just get rid of the OC. He went and got a new one. He went and got his guy that he wanted to, and he knew that he would simplify this thing and make this offense much better. You could see the reads. You could see the calmness in Dylan Raiola's feet. And it was honestly just giving him opportunities to execute and giving him routes to check down to. That's what we've been missing all season, just giving him opportunities to not just have 1 read, 2 reads, and then he's done, or just have 30 deep routes down the field, an opportunity to have checkdowns, an opportunity to have options to go to if the play's not there. And it's crazy just how much success you can have when you take what the defense gives you. And that's simply what Nebraska did. It wasn't crazy in terms of, creative. It didn't have to be. It just needed to be simple, and it needed to be efficient. And that's what it was today. Again, a couple drop touchdowns. This could have been 50, but just an overall excellent performance. And we got to feel fired up as a fan base. And we're feeling probably a lot better about that Iowa game next week as well. So just an awesome performance by his team altogether. But yeah, let me get into some of your comments as you get in here. Again, like I said, as people pile in here, we're going to go for as long as you are with me in the comments. So we're celebrating tonight, boys. Did we finally get the missing piece? Dana's so much better for calling plays. We finally got a complete game from our offense. That is the biggest thing. 4 quarters. We got 4 quarters of football today, and that is something we haven't seen all season. UTEP. Didn't see that against UTEP. Northern Iowa. Looked spotty against even them. But to do this, and I understand it's Wisconsin, but do this against a Power 5 team, man, and just come out and have one of our best performances 2 weeks ago in the season just gives a shot in the arm to this team. And you got to hope Michael Terry and guys like that are watching this game, because, this is huge in terms of recruiting too, in terms of the portal for people to see that Nebraska has an offense going into next season. Would have been a little bit harder coming out of year 2 with still having offensive problems, even with Raiola, to go after, a high-level guy in the portal, or to recruit a high-level guy like a Michael Terry who wants what's best for his career. And again, he loves the way that Nebraska is going to utilize him in the offense. Hopefully Holgorsen has the same plan for him. But just awesome all around. Congrats on getting the first win. Hey, I appreciate that, Jackson. Thank you for hopping in here, brother. I appreciate you. Finally won that damn rivalry trophy, right? After man, 1 in 12, was it? Or is it once in the last 12 years? Let's go, baby. What a day. I absolutely, Gregory. Like I said, I don't remember the last time I've been this happy on a Saturday. It feels foreign to me. Felt a little foreign to me to be happy in the middle of the game. But I was feeling pretty good about this game because finally we had a offense that can pick our defense up. And I don't remember the last time really that we've seen our offense come in and close the game out. I don't remember the last time. This is the first time in a long time where you come down the field and you put it away with a touchdown with your offense and, pick the defense up for what the defense lacked. I mean, they just explosive plays have been an issue with this team. The secondary has been an issue all season, especially at the safety spot. A lot of people put that on Bly Hill. I don't think that was on Bly Hill. That was definitely on the safeties for not having his back deep. So longest 10 years of life is finally over. That's right, Husker D. And as y'all pop in here, if you don't mind hitting the like button so more people can hop in here. Like I said, as more people we got, the longer we're going to go. So as a USC fan, happy to see the Huskers win. Bowl eligible, go Greg. Fight A. Appreciate you, Dale. USC fans, man, have been pretty dope all season. They've been cool. Even last week, man, they were pretty cool. Haven't had an issue with USC fans at all. So appreciate that a ton, Dale. Let's sack Iowa. Man, I'm telling you, Iowa looks one-dimensional. And if the downfall for Nebraska this year has been explosive plays, how is Iowa going to come out and manufacture explosive plays without their ability to throw the ball? I think it was 58 runs that they had in this game this week. So unbelievable. They're going to come out with that game plan. It really favors Nebraska, in my opinion, because they're going to have to be balanced. Nebraska was finally balanced today. Emmett Johnson. Been saying Emmett Johnson's name for 2 years now. Preseason of last year, I did a preview video of the running back position, and I called out Emmett Johnson's name because he was getting this is the last season, because he was getting half the first team reps in Matt Rule's first offseason. And so it only made sense that, and Dowdle, I get Dowdle, but he's just that big physical bruising back, right? But Emmett Johnson, we saw what he is capable of today. Like I said, he can make people miss in a phone booth. And one of the biggest things about this offense, Holgorsen with those wider splits, like I talked about, getting them to the second level and letting him get past that second level so he can go in and operate in that second and third level. And that's where you can kind of chop up your feet a little bit. Once you get through the mud of that initial front, that's when you start to really kind of operate in there. So one of the few people that supported Satterfield, boy, was I wrong. Hey, Gregory, it's okay, man. I've been wrong plenty of times before. This is one of those instances where we're happy to be wrong. So it's a good reason to be wrong. Breathe, Husker fans, get some air in those lungs, breathe, deep knee pins. That's what I'm saying. Like, and even still late in that game, it felt kind of like, there was a lot of people were feeling, kind of like it was potential that Wisconsin could get back in the game. I didn't really feel that, just because I think we're used to that with a conservative offense, with a Satterfield style of offense, where it's just, you're not putting the game away. You're just trying to play not to lose and protect the lead instead of going out and just putting your foot on their throat. And Holgorsen, came out that last drive aggressive, was throwing, and he was determined to put that game away. He wasn't going to allow them to get back in it, because that's when things go wrong. When you allow the opposing team to get back in the game and climb in and get some confidence, especially when you're rolling that much, that's when the doubt starts to seek in the players' minds too. You start to feel that, that tightness coming in. But Raiola looked calm in the pocket, man. His feet were calm and relaxed. He was just poised and making throws. And that has a lot to do with the simplification of the offense and him just getting time. I talked about it before. Raiola's problem wasn't in his ability. Raiola's problem was he was taking too many hits, and he was seeing ghosts back there. And you could tell by the way he was operating. He was jumpy. He was jumpy in the pocket. We didn't see that today. I don't know what Holgorsen told him, but this is the different quarterback than we've seen the last few weeks, no doubt. Never mind, the cherry on top is that we don't have to pay him. Yeah, that's true. But still got to give that man some money. And you think about it, like a Ja'Cory Barney, right? Look at what Dana Holgerson did with Tank Dell at Houston, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I got a super chat in here. RJ, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Super chats are on. I appreciate any contribution, even so much as a like, a view. Thank y'all so much. But I really, really appreciate the super chats, man. Hogan needs a haircut and a money bag. I saw that picture. It looked like he got kind of struck by lightning there with the. But I mean, hey, I say let that man grow his hair out as long as he wants. I don't care. I don't care what he looks like as long as he keeps his offense rolling. But RJ, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. I really appreciate you. Yeah, and then I was talking about you look at the type of guys that Dana Holgerson has developed before. Tank Dell over at Houston. He's playing in the Texans. I'm a Texans fan, but playing over the Texans now. But Tank Dell, 160. Really undersized guy, but he getting him in space. And you saw a little bit of that today where we're getting these speedsters in space. And that's what this offense has been missing. I talked about it last week. The middle of the field was the area that had the most improvement, and the short middle of the field, 12 for 12 last week against USC at 9.3 yards per attempt. 12 for 12. Against UCLA under Satterfield, we were 4 for 6. I think it was 4 for 6 at about 3.3 yards per attempt. That's a huge, huge disparity. That average depth of target being a little bit, further through the air and allowing these guys to operate in more space. I think that's the biggest thing, is not trying to get it all through the air. That I think Satterfield had it in his mind too much that he's just trying to get it all through the air and not allowing his playmakers to just play in space. And it's as simple as that. Like I said, Holgerson's not doing anything crazy. He's just simplifying everything. That improves execution. If you're having execution problems, stop what you're doing, make it more simple. Perimeter blocking. We finally have some perimeter blocking, and it's crazy that it was probably in them this entire time. But Holgerson called it out. He called them out on it. And clearly whatever they've been working on in practice has worked, because on that touchdown where Dowdell early in the game, Jamal Banks had a key block. Like, he was the blocker that sealed that out. The offensive line did a great block there too, but without Jamal Banks, that hole's not that open, and that might be a stop short. So beautiful to see that. Jamal Banks had some uncharacteristic drops, but again, that's fine. We cleaned up the areas which have been the biggest problems for us this entire season. So disagree. RJ Holt needs to keep rocking the Garland. Wonder how many tackles broke today. 15, 20. Yeah, the tackling was brutal today. And safeties just been giving up explosive plays. That's what Nebraska's been giving up this season. A lot of explosive plays through the air, and a lot of times the common denominators, the safeties, Luke Gifford being one of the main culprit in a lot of those. Just a little bit out of position, a little bit out of space. He steps down too early, or he'll get fooled by an underneath route where they're trying to bring him down, and he just gets his eyes lost a lot back there. So, broke by Emmett. I thought you were talking about our defense. I can't. Yeah, that would be an interesting stat, because I'll be able to get that stat for you whenever they post those numbers. The tackle's broken there, because I'm interested to see that. Did Emmett get the 100? Let me see here. I'm not sure if he fully went 100, because I know he was at about over 100 yards rushing and was about 38 receiving. So Emmett Johnson, 113, 16 carries for 113, 7.1 yards per carry. Crazy. And then he had 6 catches for 85 yards at 14.2 average. Unbelievable. Just an unbelievable game by him. And I feel like we've been talking about him all season. Just let him eat, let him go out there and work. And again, the running back rotation had no rhyme or reason for this entire season. And now you finally let a running back get the hot hand and get rolling and keep him going. And look what happens. From now on, honestly, Emmett Johnson should, without a doubt, get the majority of the touches and only come out of the game when it's maybe short yardage situations, or somebody needs to take a breather, or Emmett needs to take a breather. Do you think the wider line splits has opened? Without question, without a doubt. And it's nice that we're seeing a little bit of a blend. It's not always wide splits, but they're mixing it up. They're not giving away the run. It's just it's interesting to see how he's kind of married his style of offense to a little bit of what Satterfield was doing, what this team was doing in their current offensive playbook. And that to me is a sign of a good offensive coordinator. If you can come in and just kind of in a short amount of time marry your style to the style that was already kind of in place, and with those two, Satterfield being a big huddle guy, big formation, 2 tight end sets, that type of vibe, and an air raid guy is able to come in and really give a shot in the arm, but also continue to keep things simplified with what the players knew and what they were doing all season with Satterfield. That has a lot to do with this as well. And that's what I said, the sign of a great offensive coordinator there. Johnson and Dowdle will be the 1-2 punch next week and next season without question. 15 receiving yards short, very close. I shed a tear. Man, I was about to, honestly, like I was, my heart rate was up for a good reason. I was finally feeling good. I'm just like, man, it's nice to be excited for a Saturday for real. And it's nice to, I was optimistic coming into the game. I tweeted before the game. I said, I have a really good feeling about this offense today based on what we saw last week. And I'm glad it showed up on the field. But that was one of the things, you always know that's there. Nebraska shows promise, but the inconsistencies always rear their ugly head. But something about this offense and what I saw on the field last week made me feel really good about this team, even though we lost last week. But just looking at the film and what happened, couldn't help but feel good about this game this week. So happy for the win. Seniors look good, except Gifford. He sucked. Bullock, had a big stop there on those 3rd and 4th downs. John Bullock getting in there on senior day. IGC coming in and dropping the ball. He had his senior day opportunity, but yeah, that didn't go very well. But yes, seniors, but also the young guys look good, man. Keona Davis, Vincent Shavers. Oh my God. Bly Hill came out there at least in the second half, and Bly Hill didn't play a bad game. Again, that I don't think that was his fault getting beat deep there at all. The one play that he misplayed was that one kind of on that 2-point conversion immediately after that. That was the one where he kind of got a little bit beat on that out route and man coverage, but he hasn't been playing all season, so he's going to need some reps to get going. On like a bloodhound, D, you ain't alone, brother. Game ball, Emmett. Wow, he should have got them TDs. Honestly, bro, I was like, reward him, especially when he got down on that one long play where he got tackled about the 4-yard line. I was like, just give it to him, reward him with that touchdown. O-line played awesome, yes, and Janiron Bonner with a big block, with that Harburg first touchdown from the Wildcat. Janiron Bonner sprung that open and gave him an opportunity to go and score that game. The red zone play calling was excellent. And you saw us getting aggressive there, throwing the ball deep on, that the one nair where he got his, his foot kind of slightly out of bounds, but it was a beautiful ball by Dillon. And then the Jamal Banks one at the back of the end zone. Throwing there, that's a part of the field we would have got down to, and I feel like we would have just started trying to run up the middle, 1st and 2nd down, and then trying to pass on 3rd and an obvious passing situation and not being able to get anywhere. I mean, sometimes it's just that simple. The sequencing of the plays, there was no rhyme or reason for what we were doing before. It made no sense. There was no offensive game plan. It was just kind of like, we're going to call some plays randomly that we think might work. It was like somebody playing Madden for the first time. Raiola is definitely slinging it quick, looks so much better. Calm feet equal calm mind. Glenn Thomas said that when he was brought on, and it's all in the feet. And today he looked like a statue in the pocket. And when he has time to throw the ball. So what I've been telling the detractors all season who have been calling for Heinrich Haarberg, I'm like, no, Raiola is your quarterback of the future. Let him play through his mistakes. Let him play through this. That is how you get better as a quarterback. You don't get benched and get better as a quarterback. You got to play through these things and you'll get better. And we've seen that now, that what he's capable of, and it's really not his limitations that have been holding this offense back at all. Confused why Gifford is still getting reps. We're really short in secondary. That's why. Really, really short. Dillon just looked like his blood pressure was 15 psi lower, that calm, composed, instinctual movement in the pocket. And that with bowl eligibility on the line and a big game against Wisconsin, 2 games left in the season, all the pressure and the home game, senior day and all that. And he just comes out and puts that performance together. Just shows that he has ice water in his veins. And I don't think Raiola loses confidence for a while. Like I feel like as soon as he got in a rhythm today, and I feel like this is carried over from last week. I feel like he felt a little rhythm last week, and I feel like this was just a carryover of that. And he came out ripping from the jump. We're all tuning in for volleyball, right? It would be nice to have a double Wisconsin win off of the Creighton basketball win last night. So I'm an option fan, so I was worried about the hurry up offense, but this looks good. Got to have tempo at times, man, especially if you want to wear down a defense. You got to get tempo. And you saw a couple times where we were snapping the ball. Wisconsin was not set on defense. And that is where that speed them up rhythm plays. But I feel like we were using it at the right time, huddling at the right time, and really making it work very well. So, yeah, baby, go Big Red. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Welcome in. I appreciate everybody who's in here so far, man. If y'all don't mind dropping a like, man, like I said, it really, really helps me out, and it'll help more people get in here as well, so we can keep this baby rolling. Maybe we see some option or a bowl game against Navy. Hey, I do not want to see us play Navy. No, I was in the Navy. I can't have that matchup. All right. I'm a huge Army Navy fan. Smash Mouth football. Yeah. Yeah. Don't wish a bowl game against Navy on me. All right. Johnson should have been primary running back all season, without a doubt. I'm Navy. My brother's Army. Hate week is a family favorite. Let's go Navy. I was thinking about ordering a jersey earlier. Navy killed it in the uniform department this year over Army. Our offseason just got more interesting. It's nice to have be able to go into an offseason with some optimism. And like I said, this is so important, not only for the 14 extra practices that we get for the bowl games, but just getting over the bowl game hump, first off. Secondly, recruiting. Like I said in the beginning, Michael Terry, we're in a battle with Texas for Michael Terry. And that race seems 50-50 right now. So anything that Nebraska can do offensively to give these players a good sign that they're going to be able to operate and do well in this offense and not be held back by it, that's meaningful. That is meaningful, and it's going to help us a ton. More practices. Yeah, exactly. No hate yet, though. Kudos to Army. Yeah, exactly. First time we won the season when the other team has scored more than twice. It's crazy. Game was over by halftime. You see the energy on both sides of the ball. It sure felt that way. It seemed like Wisconsin kind of quit. That Wisconsin in that game kind of felt like Nebraska did in the second half of the Indiana game, where it was just kind of, Nebraska had their backs against the wall the whole game. It just seemed like they were demoralized by halftime and kind of just let their foot off the gas. And Wisconsin just, Nebraska finally was on the benefit of some of these mistakes. And it's usually Nebraska making the mistakes, Wisconsin making some mistakes, and that's something you don't see. You really wonder, Luke Fickell, if how long they're going to stick with him. Fickell's a really, really good coach, but Wisconsin really isn't. I mean, they're not patient with him right now, and they fired their OC last week. They really don't have an identity on offense, and they're going into the offseason with a lot less optimism. So Barney Mullen, exactly. Concerned about the secondary, though. That was their third string QB, and it tore us apart. He was relatively inaccurate. Yeah, he had some good balls, but yeah, he was fairly inaccurate. But a lot of that too was due to our defense. But yeah, he's not a really good quarterback, right? He's not a great quarterback at all. But even with that being said, yes, our secondary is I'm really concerned about our secondary. Depth had been an issue since the beginning of the season, and now it's like we're kind of patchworking it together. Oh man. Oh, what Iowa guy? My fault. I don't know why my camera cut off, and I also don't know why there's a Iowa picture here. I feel like I'm being trolled right now, but let me get my camera back on, and I'll continue to roll through these. My fault, y'all. Can you now hear me? I don't know why this is giving me an issue. Y'all, my bad. I am trying camera issue here. It seems like my camera just disconnected for no apparent reason. So this is super frustrating. Sorry, y'all. Man, just give me 1 second. Of course this was happen, huh? Of course this would happen. Throw me off my game here a little bit. Don't worry, I'm going to continue to roll through your comments, though. Secondary wore thin. We got help coming in underclassmen, without a doubt. I'm going to unplug my camera real quick. One second. Now I'm going to start Now I'm going to start dropping people like crazy, man. I had a good crowd in here, too. I am not sure what's going on with my camera. Again, I really, really apologize for this. I'm going to let this just kind of work up there a little bit. I'm going to pull another picture up. And if anybody wants to hop in here, let me know. I'm going to drop the link right here. So if anybody wants to hop in here with me and join the conversation, here y'all go. Again, I don't know why there's an Iowa picture up here. Really irritating why this is not working, but I'm going to continue to work through your comments. I was that guy thinking Harburg needed to play more. So happy I was wrong. Yeah. I just think we weren't utilizing them the right way. Absolutely. We were not utilizing them in the right ways. Now we finally got some blocking out there. We finally got some help. Janiron Bonner, like I said, sprung that. It's nice to see finally some blocking that is not just executed well on certain plays, executed well throughout the entirety of the game. And again, if you're hopping in here, again, my camera is not cooperating with me right now. So I'm trying to figure this out as we speak, as I go through this. I think you were right, Munn. We did see Heinrich Harburg and not wasted attempts. Calling for him to start might have been a step too far, but we've been wrong before. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just don't necessarily need him to start, right? You still want to go through with Raiola and get the best opportunity you can. Again, sorry if you're just popping in here. There's an Iowa picture on this screen instead of my camera. My camera just cut off midstream, but I'm still trying to power through and figure it out as we go. But yeah, I thought we were using them all the wrong ways. That was the thing. I felt like we could have utilized them more, but starting quarterback, no. Georgia, if we beat down Iowa, the Bulls are going to be. This is ironic with a dang Iowa picture on here. This is from the Iowa channel. I don't know how that's carried over into my my stuff here. Let's see. No, this is not. All right, I'm trying to figure this out, guys. Sorry about that. All right, let me continue to roll through this here. Only potential bad thing from today: if Holgorsen turns his offense around in a month, he's going to get job offers. I think there might be an understanding here with him that I feel like this is a prime opportunity for him, and I feel like he knows that. You would venture to guess there's probably not too much of, there's not too much. This is a place where you have a true freshman quarterback who he loves. He's talked about Dylan in, very, very high regard in terms of he can't believe he's just a true freshman, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that sounds like a coach who plans on going anywhere. I think that's just what obviously he probably came in with some understanding with Matt Rule that, because this has been supposed to, Holgorsen was supposed to come on, or there was talks about him coming on a while back as well. And it just took a little while for him to get, kind of on the boat, because you just had to really get rid of the Satterfield stuff. And that was the biggest problem, I think, is just with Satterfield. I think that press conference was probably the best thing that could have happened, because what that really did was that allowed Matt Rule to kind of see, I think, the discrepancy there, and really why, how far away he was from understanding what he needed to do to win in the Big Ten Conference. When you're sitting there and you're talking about, I did not realize that I need to run the ball in the Big Ten to have a good offense, then that becomes a big issue. And I think Matt Rule just could not, after that, there was no justification for him to stick with Satterfield after that. I don't see Hogue leaving us for an OC slot unless it's a top 10 job. I don't think that group of 5 head coach. No, absolutely not. And I don't think he wants necessarily to deal with recruiting and all that stuff to that extent. I feel like he likes this role, and like he's getting paid by Houston too. Rule bought himself a few more years. Fickle's in trouble. Fickle's in real trouble. I told you to toss that. I got like a $5,000 computer, and my camera's like, it's a Sony DSLR camera, and it's Google Chrome. I don't know what is about Google Chrome. Like all of a sudden, just my camera's on and everything. It's connected, plugged in, and it just keeps, for some reason, it just wants to continue to do this. And it's no rhyme or doesn't make sense. Every time I click start camera, that's what happens. You can support Navy, but I draw the line at Iowa. This is not, listen, I'm being sabotaged right now. I'm going to figure this picture thing out. I honestly, like, I've never dealt with like the picture stuff on here. So I don't even know actually where to go to figure this out, but keep it rocking and rolling. If y'all want to click that link too, you can hop in here with me, chat with me, and let me know your thoughts on the game. Let us find out you're really an undercover Iowa fan. Stop it. I'm getting bullied right now. 8 week is 52 weeks a year if we're talking about Iowa. See, this is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, like, I'm trying to give y'all a visual of our next, focus. All right. So we don't lose track of Iowa. We still got to beat Iowa. Okay. We're good here. Hear you fine. All right. I appreciate that y'all can hear me. At least that's good. Holt can rehab his rep with a QB like Dylan. The rest of the offense is shaping up nice as well. Everybody send him a Hallmark card and a love letter. I mean, honestly, we could put a statue of this guy up if he can continue this. Again, want to see it again against Iowa next week, but you gotta feel good. Again, last week the proof was there. The proof was in the pudding. It was in the metrics. It just didn't always translate to the field, but this week it did. Having coaches that are so good they might leave is a good problem to have, without a doubt. Without a doubt, we retained Tony White last season. Tony White in a way. I know people hate on Tony White, but Tony White being here is a good thing. And I don't expect. It's going to be hard. I almost feel like Tony White still might get job offers as a head coach, but I don't think they're going to be as good as we might have anticipated at first if he would have replicated last season. But I think when, we got a lot of young players and a lot of young guys that fit this 3-3-5 scheme perfectly. And I mean, we're playing a lot of young guys. Keona Davis was out there. You got McGahee, you got Shavers, you got Bly Hill, the whole nine. A lot of young teams. Crum is better than oh yeah, without a doubt. You had that frost infection earlier this year. What frost infection? I meant lock them up. Brave browser with Chromium's nice features, no YouTube commercials. Lock them up. I haven't been impressed with Tony White, but I've been and I see why, right? I understand when people say that they're not impressed with what Tony White has done. I get that, fully get that. Where I think the thing is that I like is in the fact that, unlike offensive problems, defensively, he's been able to make adjustments. And again, the issue besides tackling has been an issue, but another issue has been the fact that, early in this game, this defense was playing too soft of coverage, right? But the biggest issue this entire season has been explosive plays due to our lack of play by the safeties. So, part of it falls on them as well, but you got to do better in terms of, being able to play aggressive and play downhill. And I think we played a little too soft coverage, especially early on in this game today. What does this team look like if Holgorsen is OC all season? It's interesting to look back and think about it. But however, it's one of those things, like I said, better late than never type of situation. I'm going to change this back to red here. Better late than never type of situation. At least we're seeing it. Ton of zone coverage. Yes, a ton of zone coverage. That is right. Because I don't necessarily know if he fully trusts, our guys in man coverage. I'm not 100% sure, if he trusts our secondary as it is in a lot of man coverage, but he still has to mix it up. YSD seems a little sporadic. I think that's more on the athletes than him. We should see. Certainly has earned another seat if we can keep it without question. I've not once called for his head this year, and I've really been disappointed that people have. Again, I think it's just the nature of the beast, though. I think it's just the frustrations of losing, again and again and again, that really give us fits. And I think that's, it's really hard when you kind of have emotion in this to really step back and think, when you get 59 points put up on you by Indiana, it's really hard to look at this and be like, okay, um, I feel good about this defense, but when you kind of grade it in more of a more of a big picture vacuum, each time we've gotten blown out, his defense has responded very, very well. Um, and that to me is coaching, right? And again, a lot of issues in terms of secondary depth, secondary you know, talent, and just mixed up blown coverages, especially on cover three. They get up the seam. Indiana and Ohio State had the same exact touchdown play, dang near, against us back to back weeks. And it was the same issue, same exact issue. Just our eyes getting lost in our secondary. That is the biggest thing. It's the eyes in the secondary that are getting us into it, is getting us into big time trouble for sure. I'm trying to see if I can enter my own stream through Firefox. Oh, well, there we go. Well, now I look all fuzzy and blurry, but at least I'm here. Can y'all hear me okay? Is there an echo? I just want to get that first. Let me know. Oh, there's me. Man, I'm trying so hard to figure this out. My bad, y'all. Look back at all the offense. Are y'all hearing to me? Because I'm hearing an echo in here. No echo. Okay, cool. I can deal with that. At least I'm fuzzy, but whatever. We'll make it work. Would you like more man cover zero? I just think today, when you look at the first half, they were throwing over the middle of the field, and we had guys that weren't within 5-10 yards. The same thing happened early in the Indiana game. I can't talk. Where it just seemed like every pass we were late getting downhill, and we were off coverage by 10 to 15 yards, and Curtis Rourke got into rhythm. You saw him today against Ohio State, and they just put pressure on him, and they went man. You got to be able to effectively play man coverage and play cover zero at times to be able to have success and be able to mix it up against team when you need to. And I think that's the limitation of this offense right now. But I think with the right personnel in place, I would like to see a bit more of man coverage, because that really allows us to be aggressive on the front with our stunts. So White isn't getting a head coach job after the season, so he's staying. Hope so. Go Buckeyes. What's up, David? Appreciate you hopping in here. Buckeyes had a great win today. I almost predict that score exactly at 35-17 in my prediction. The Satterfield stay as tight end coach, and what happens to his paycheck? Hard to pay 3 assistants over $1 million. Yeah, and again, like mentioned earlier, he is still getting the Houston salary. So there is a lot to be said about the fact that he's already getting paid a pretty good amount of money. So maybe they can find some incentivization there but I do think I don't necessarily think Matt Rule is going to get rid of Satterfield. But restructure, if it's really hard to pay a tight end coach $1.6 million. So that is going to be interesting. But I feel like Matt Rule is almost loyal to a fault in an extent. And I think he likes what Satterfield brings to this team and his coaching. And it's not to say he's a bad coach. He's just not a good offense coordinator and not a play caller. And I think that's where the ball is getting dropped is, he has a potential role on this team, but not at 1.6 mil. No way. I think you're right. Never mind. Sack gets paid for his current contract regardless. Yeah, unless he was willing to give up some money just because Matt Rule's his guy, that would be tough. But these guys have been with Matt Rule for a while. So who knows? But it's going to be hard to have a guy come off of 1.6 mil, being one of the top 10 paid offensive coordinators in the country, to not even be an offensive coordinator anymore. So Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Kind of. What do you think of Nebraska versus Colorado blow game? Bowl game. That that's really interesting. I would love to see that. Uh, Colorado lost to Kansas today. Kansas is crazy unpredictable. 3 consecutive wins against ranked opponents after coming into that with 2 wins. Wild. It's just a wild thing that they've been able to do. But Colorado still has some flaws. They've improved. Don't get me wrong. They have athletes. I worry about our secondary in that game, just like I was worried about our secondary the first game. But I feel like our secondary has almost played worse since and regressed since. No Tommy Hill. We're just really light in the secondary. But that would be fun. That would be fun because that would be a bowl game we all can get up for, right? And the nation can get up for, and be fired up about that. That would be a lot of fun. No echo. All right, appreciate that. The Huskers look good today. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Finally, you got to think, how many wins could we possibly have had if not for, the lack of offense? But again, better late than never. I'm not going to complain. No echo out here. Thank you. BY lost. Crazy. That makes no sense for BYU to blow today or just come out and play like that. Nebraska's not very good against big receivers. Nah, we're not physical enough out on the outside. And again, I think we got to really instill that mentality because it's odd that we have that mentality in certain levels of our defense, but not in our secondary. It seems like they're not willing to put a body on a guy and really rough him up at the point of attack or kind of jam him at the route. I don't see a lot of us really jamming the receivers at the line and really kind of making their life a lot harder because you can stop a route concept by jamming it at the line and throw off the timing. And a lot of what they were able to do and teams have been able to do against us is timing, just really good timing on their routes. Nebraska definitely lacks speed in many positions. Yeah. And I think the biggest difference between last year's defense and this year's defense has been I think we played better complementary team defense last year. And when I had Chancellor Brewington on, he talked about playing the 1 of 11. And when you know the guy next to you is going to do their job and you trust them to do their job, then you can be much more aggressive in your area of responsibility. That's when Nebraska gets on our heels, is whenever they have to start looking out for the guy on their right and on their left. And I think that's been the biggest problem. And that's why eyes are getting lost. And at 3-3-5, your eyes have to stay on the ball. No way around it because it's a very risk reward defense. And we've seen that throughout this season. So they've really got to figure that out for sure and get back to playing good team defense. Mantle, CU or OU? Interesting. That would be either one. I'm cool with. Our lads are getting longer and faster in the skill spots, though. Patience, hot things happening, recruiting. Yeah, in this defense, you look at who's coming in. Aiden Manitai is going to be flipping. Dawson Merritt flipped already. Like, you just have weapons. Pierce Newberry is going to be a stud. Like, you just have weapons all over this defense coming in and these young guys currently playing. Again, we saw Keanu Davis getting in there. Vincent Shavers had some big plays. A lot of the issues that we're having are from the older guys. Deshaun Singleton, I don't think we've talked enough about how bad of a game he had in the first half. Deshaun Singleton was horrid in the first half. Came back with a bit of a better second half, but just absolutely abysmal in that first half. CU, I heard as long as Dana doesn't take a head coaching job, Houston still has to pay him, but he can collect a nice check from Nebraska too. Yeah, he can get paid by both for sure. But I've seen many instances where, a team will be paying him, and with that, he will take a little, or not just with him, but with coaches, they'll take a little bit less money for a good opportunity for them, for sure. And I don't necessarily think he's going to leave for a head coaching job because, you know, he can get paid basically nearly just as much just to be an OC. And like I said, the way he's talked about Dylan, I feel like he wants to build and grow with this offense because he sees the potential of it. And I don't think 2 games will be enough for him to want to leave. He can build his resume next year, too, and then see from there. But curious to see on the offseason what kind of contract negotiations we get into with him. You think Raul's family went up to Matt and told him to drop Satterfield? No, I think Matt really made that decision. I feel like Matt was trying to give Satterfield ample opportunities because Matt Rule had to see this. He watches the film too. He had to see this stuff. And so I think he had just finally reached a point where the pressure had gotten too much. And at the end of the day, Matt Rule understands that if he has another 5-win season, then a lot of people are calling for his head. A lot of people are calling for his head. People were already doing it. So he's got to look out for himself at the end of the day, too. And so he did the best thing that was right with the team and the best thing that was right by him. And I respect that because that was something Frost really didn't do, right? Frost was very, very hesitant to get rid of his friends or move them from play calling duty. It took him years to adjust at all. And for Matt Rule to recognize that in year 2, again, that press conference probably had a lot to do with, just kind of expediting that process. But whatever way it happened, I'm glad it did. But I'm sure Raiola's family is feeling a lot better about where this is heading, for sure. Nebraska has to pay Holgorsen a fair market value, only deducts from what Houston and TCU have to pay. Not sure how it's split between those two. I have to look at the specific contract details, but I might get into that in a video soon when I can dig into that and kind of go through a couple of other situations that have been similar to the one he's in, for sure. Christian, what's up, man? Appreciate you hopping on. Let's go. Like I said, we're celebrating tonight. BYU is not that good. Yeah, they're not, but they're playing in a really bad Big 12 conference. And just the fact that they've, played the way they have all season did they end up losing the game? Right. I'm pretty sure they did. Let me double check. Yeah, they lost to ASU. That Big 12 is very, very weak. Finally, a bowl game. Exactly. Man, like I said, this is a feeling we haven't had in a while, a feeling on a Saturday of happiness and knowing that we're going to have 14 extra practices to help this team get better and be able to showcase a little bit more. But this is the 14 practices. It's hard with this echo in my ear. The 14 practices, those are even more so important now with Holgorsen to have another 2 weeks to work with this offense and an extra game to work with them as well. So we don't only have to see it against Iowa. We get to see it against Iowa, and then we get to see a game plan against, whoever we face in the bowl game. And again, those 14 extra practices is an extra little bit of time for this offense to get some camaraderie with Holgorsen and some stuff in his scheme before we go into the offseason. And it's just waiting until they're able to practice again and kind of do that stuff as we get into, fall camp. Man, that was great. Got to storm the field. Let's go. Hey, I hope you had a blast out there, man. I hope everybody had fun. If you were out there, let me know how it was out there, how the energy was out there. Let's go. I think the Godfather, Stafford, and Uncle Megatron called Rule up. Hey, Megatron's got a son out there playing football. Send them our way. I'm just glad CU is out of the playoff talks. Yeah, that was always weird to me how they were in the playoff talk, but Indiana wasn't if they were a one-loss team. I don't see how you put a two-loss Colorado team in over a team like that. And if they won the Big 12 championship, of course, that would have allowed for an opportunity there. But that Big 12 is so weak. You have to think anybody who would make it out of that conference probably is in for a rough game. Love that for you, Corn Man. Yes, sir. That's awesome. Nebraska played well in Columbus, though. Yeah, and that was adjustments Tony White made to his defense for sure. We couldn't formulate any offense, of course, but defensively, after that Indiana game, Tony White did some different things with his fronts, with his stunts, and that was able to give Ohio State some problems, albeit Ohio State played uncharacteristically, kind of bad in that game. But a lot of it was due to, you contained Kyle McCord, didn't allow him to run the ball. You didn't allow them to really run the ball a ton and establish that, and then be able to pick you apart in their pass game. And we saw that's what they did to Indiana today. And I think that proves more and more that the Indiana game is just kind of an outlier in that regard. Corman, nobody got hurt, did they? It looked like a trampling waiting to happen on TV. Yeah, hopefully not. Absolutely. This defense is trying to do too much. Just cover your assignment. Yep, without a doubt. Everyone's really calm. Good to hear it. Bly got cooked a couple of times. Again, it just wasn't him on that deep ball, but he did get beat on that 2-point conversion for sure. It's show man going to eat dinner. Glad we got to have a good turkey day, and then we get to take on the great evil to the east. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to get that Iowa picture off the screen before you dip. Thank you for being here, Kyle. Appreciate y'all. And again, if you're in here, you don't mind dropping a like. Again, it really, really helps me out. Good. It looks scary as the gate swung open, saw a fella eat it immediately, then camera cut away. Oh, Lord. I didn't see that. I was getting ready for this. Thanksgiving week, the emu looked delicious. Congratulations, Sonny. Congratulations, Illinois. Like that game was on Peacock and we were playing, but I saw the 4th and 13 at the end of the game. I think it was 4th and 13 at the end of the game, down by 1 point. As the clock expired, Illinois scores a touchdown to beat Rutgers. Just a crazy ending to that game. And Sonny, you deserve that after that Bears game for sure. Please do dig into that pay thing. Justin, I'm a little out of my ass, but fairly certain I ain't wrong. Yeah, I will for sure. I'll do a video on that. This was the only guy I saw call out the wide line splits. Totally opened up the run game. 100%. And that's one of the biggest benefits of the air raid into this run game, because, you spread that field out wide. And that's what we saw today, right? We finally were able to get to the perimeter, and it's crazy. It opens up the middle of the field. It's crazy how that works, which is the entire concept of an air raid, right? It's to spread the field out, make the defense cover grass, get your guys in space, and just let them work. We have these athletes, these guys who are track guys, these guys who are shifty for a reason. It's not to try to throw to them in double coverage. It's to let them work. You don't have to get it all through the air. Just take what the defense gives and let it roll. But yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Gregory. 3-loss CU team. Yes, 3 losses now. And a couple of bad ones. Losing to Kansas, not a good look at all. Iowa's week just got a lot harder. Yes, for sure. Way to go, Huskers. Appreciate it, Donnie. Appreciate you being in here. Go Brick Red, Donnie. All right, so let me go ahead and get into some of the stats here. So Braden Locke talked about he is at a interception in every game. So he had one today, but over 20 for 30, 292 yards. I mean, we kind of let him be a little bit too efficient, a lot too efficient. Tyree Walker, though, 14 carries for 55 yards, held to 3.9 per carry. And then Darian Dupree, 63 yards on 8 carries, but he had a 32-yard run. So a lot of that was on that. But Overall, just a pretty good performance. The defensive line was able to really take some pressure off this secondary and the opportunities they had to get home. They did. Whenever they had time in the pocket, that's when our secondary is going to be in trouble. So we were going to really, well, I mean, Iowa can't really throw the ball and expose us through the air. So, but we're still going to have to make sure our defensive line can take pressure off of this secondary as much as possible. Receiving, they were without Will Pauling. So Vinny Anthony, 7 receptions for 137 yards, 19.6 average, 58-yard long. Just a couple of deep throws there to him. Tyree Walker with the fumble. But let me go through the tackles here. So Deshaun Singleton finished with 6 total, Gifts 6 total. Hartzog, 3 solo tackles. Malcolm Hartzog was getting his nose in there. Javen Wright with 5 total, 1 solo. Ty Robinson, man, making his presence known in terms of the stat sheet, even 5 totals with 1 solo, and he was just kind of wreaking havoc and muddying everything up for the whole time. What Ty and Nash do doesn't always show up, on the play sheet. They are there to cause mismatches and bring linemen to have to double team them, etc. So that way we have numbers to bring our linebackers through, and they won't be able to bring enough to block us. If they're having to double Nash or double Ty or double both, then we bring in a couple extra guys. Those guys aren't able to be blocked unless they max protect, and even then it's going to be difficult. Bullock, 1.5 tackles for loss, that 3rd and 4th down stop there, that really kind of, in Wisconsin territory, that really shut down that drive and really stalled any chance they had. It felt like the game kind of was over at that point for them. Just huge plays there on senior day. So great to see that, because John Bullock has been one of our best players throughout the season. I think through week 5, he was one of the highest graded defensive players in the Big Ten. So fantastic to see him getting out there. Elijah Judy getting in there. MJ Sherman, Mekhi Gaber. Let me see. I'm going Jeremiah Charles got in there a little bit. There's Keanu Davis. So we got Keanu Davis, Shavers with a couple tackles. Carter Nelson had a solo tackle. Willis McGahee getting in there. Caleb Benning getting in there and getting a tackle, and Donovan Jones too. So a few more names getting thrown in there. And again, seeing Bly Hill out there was nice. I just think he needs more reps. He's, again, didn't really have a chance to come into the season with, preparation because the injury. He got injured, before the season started. And again, that was supposed to be a few weeks, and it carried over, and it's now been this long till we finally see him. So I'm not holding too much of that against him right now. I do want to see with a full offseason to prepare, because we need a guy like Bly Hill. He's 6'3". He's long, he's rangy, and we don't have a cornerback like that on the roster outside of him. We have some 6-foot guys, but we don't really have that long 6'3" guy who can go up and get a ball, or at least make the quarterback feel like they have to throw it a little bit further to get it over his head. And you saw one of those overthrows today when he was covering that deep ball. But that will allow a lot more opportunities for this defense. And but yeah, he's just going to need some time to really get those reps for sure. I'm a Buckeye fan, but I have a friend who's a Husker fan who's recovering from cancer, get it to a bowl game. Hey, I would love to see that. I wish your friend the best and their recovery, though, for real. And hey, David, appreciate you hopping in here for sure. By the way, Ohio State fans have been cool since 2020. I've been cool with them since 2020, where they're fighting with us to play football during the pandemic. Hey, y'all, throw the bones at that like button. That's what I like. That's what I like to hear. Let me just do this around my mic for y'all. I got my dog sleeping back there. My dog's not as excited as me, but he's sleeping next to my black shirts chain back there. We need a dominant pass rusher to help the secondary, in my opinion. Yeah, and I think, I'm not worried about pass rushing, because I think we have a lot of youth, and they're only going to get better. And so I think we're going to see a lot of young guys step up next season, and we're going to hear a lot of their names over this offseason because there is a lot. If Jamari Butler hopefully comes back, Jamari, I know people have talked about his, regression from last year, but he's still playing pretty well, all things considered. So getting him back and then seeing how some of these young guys, and we got a lot of good defensive linemen coming into this team in this recruiting class and future recruiting classes. So I'm feeling really good about our defensive line going forward, but definitely over these next couple of games, and especially whoever we play in the bowl game, hopefully it's not somebody who could really pick you apart with their quarterback. Throwing her some mojo. Thanks for the wishes. Yeah, absolutely, man. Wishing her the best in her recovery for sure. I'm going to drop this link in here again. If anybody wants to hop in with me, you can. You don't need to have video if you don't want, but it's blurry in the background, but I've thrown you some crap about having a Navy cookie on deck. It's a black shirt. It's even worse. Yeah, I got this this lens that I got allows for that motion blur, but yeah, he's chilling back there next to Alex Bregman. Oh, that's my comment. All right, let me dive into a couple notes that I took during the game to just get into this. So the young players that I was talking about that I'm really, really confident about, and James Williams, when you talk about a pass rusher, James Williams is one of those guys that I think is going to be a stud. And then you have Shavers, Ja'Cory Barney, like I said, he played well today. Keona Davis, Sierra Wright, Willis McGahee. So Sierra Wright's a little older, but he's been playing excellent in his time that he's been with the team. And I think he is, let me see what class Sierra is. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this. So Sierra's a junior. Yeah. So another season with him. He's going to be really good for this team moving forward. Absolutely. Really, I'm skeptical of our defensive line right now, maybe. But I just think the future potential of this D-line based on, and I'm going to dive into, as we get into the offseason, I'm going to do a lot more film on our recruits, our defensive linemen and stuff like that to kind of show you the things that I like and the things that I see that I like. And I think that they can bring to this defense to hopefully make you feel a little bit better. But I feel like we might need to, I don't know necessarily if we want to bring somebody in or just let these guys develop on the field. I think they're going to get better as they play. But our defensive line has been one of our strengths this season. And the pass rush at times hasn't gotten home. I get that. But they've been able to muddy things up a ton. And really the problem lies when, they're able to establish a run and get our defense on their heels, or like Curtis Rourke, they were getting the ball out of his hands so quickly that our pass rush didn't have time to get home. And a lot of teams have done that. Illinois, they were really quick. Luke Altmaier was very quick with his reads and was able to get Nebraska's defense on their heels. So that way the defensive line couldn't pin their ears back. I think that's the biggest thing. It's giving them the opportunity to pin their ears back and really get to the quarterback. But our pass rush looked good today. We were nearly home on so many. James Williams just looks like an animal out there off the edge. So I'm feeling good about our defensive line, but I understand there's been some almost like, I get what you're saying because this is supposed to be a top 5 defensive line in the country, and they may not have lived up to that billing, but that also has a lot to do with the defense around them as well. But the future of our line recruiting has been excellent. Our edge rushers, seriously, man, Huntmacher a little slow on stats, but he's eating up blocks. Robinson, day 1 draft guy. The talent working through the 3 techniques have been inconsistent but productive. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. What Nash is going to do isn't going to show up on the stat sheet. What Ty does a lot of the time is going to show up on the stat sheet. The reason Jamari Butler was kind of our big pass rusher and our sack leader last year was he's a little bit more of a pass rusher, and Ty Robinson's more of that. I'm going to stop you in the run game. I'm not going to let you get past me, or I'm going to come in and I'm going to beat you up with all 300 pounds. So, looking at the stats, we'll kind of do that. But I get feeling a little bit like this defense hasn't lived up to a top 5, but I don't think they're, this is still a top defensive line, in my opinion. 3 techniques and outside rushers. That is, yeah. James Williams is a killer. We have a lot to look forward to. However, you know way more about the recruits than me. Yeah, it's just because I'm watching the film, and like I said, hopefully I can give you some optimism. But I'm one of the, me and Wilson Dittman's channel, probably the only ones that really do recruiting content over the off season. So I got a lot. I mean, I love film. I love recruiting. So I'm excited to bring you a lot of that. But I'm also excited to talk about one extra game instead of feeling like we only have one game left after this one. So, all right. Getting through a lot of y'all's comments here. So, again, appreciate everybody who's hopped in here with me so far. Let's see if I got any more in here. I was going to bring somebody on, but I'm not sure if he was able to. He had to check with the wifey, but let me see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if he was able to, but great game. Go Big Red. Coach Kudaback. Hey, man, we're feeling good. We're feeling good finally. I'm happy on a Saturday. It was crazy. The Texans and the Cornhuskers in the same situation. It's been play calling, offensive line issues, and then all of a sudden, both teams correct their play calling. It's been a lot of bad Saturdays and Sundays for me with my teams blowing games. But going into a little bit more of my notes here, the big thing out of the gates too, special teams played well today. I don't know if Holgerson's coaching the special teams. John Hole deserves a ton of credit for what he's able to do. Finally feeling good about a field goal kicker being able to come in and make some kicks. I feel like I was scared of, extra points. And it's nice to have Hole come in and get his confidence. And I think that's the biggest thing. See if you go through, get your confidence, and you're good. So that return out the gates, that really set the tone, and that made a lot of things, easier for this offense. They were able to go down in 6 plays. A run, they start out with a run and then a short pass over the middle, got the immediate first down. That's the biggest one, getting that first down. And then Dillon standing strong in the pocket with that throw to Banks over the middle. And then you get down a little bit. Harburg runs it in for the TD, and that block by Janaron Bonner. That set the tone, right? We came out with a couple of first, score drives early in the season, but it just went away after that. Beautiful to see a scripted drive work the way it's supposed to. And that set the tone. That's what we've been missing. We had the good kick coverage, and then on that first drive for Wisconsin offensively, our defense did give themselves an opportunity to get off the field on a 3rd and 1, but that spot was horrid, and that led to a big play. And then you got what I think was a bogus PI in the back of the end zone on a ball that was 15 yards over his head that allowed that touchdown. Then we come back with that shovel and the fumble by Barney, but defense responded, right? Defense responded when their back's against the wall. And that's what they've done well. They've responded with their backs against the wall. When their backs to a wide field, it seems like they're a little bit more, in that between the 20s. It seems like they're a little bit different in terms of their aggression and their style. But that's probably because we give up a lot of explosive plays. But when they're operating in that box of the 20-yard line, and their backs are against the wall, they don't have to worry about that explosiveness. They're able to play a little bit more downhill. And I think that's where this defense shines, is playing a little bit more downhill. So Then a screen pass, we come up with a screen pass with good blocking. That sets out the outside. Then let's see. And then a run by Dowdell, that was blocked perfectly. And again, that was set up by the outside stuff. We finally got stuff on the perimeter, which allowed us to work the middle of the field. It spread their defenders out, and it's just manipulating things to your advantage, simplifying everything, getting it more efficient, and really working the space to your advantage. You saw that one play where there was we had trips left, and we kind of went to the right side, and the offensive line really wasn't set where they needed to be, or they really didn't fire off the ball. That's not a bad play call. I've seen that play. Ohio State runs a similar play a lot, but that was just an execution thing. So couple of things that need improvement on, of course, but that's what those are for, right? You saw that trips left, and that's to really get a lot of those defenders on the opposite side of the field and manipulate those numbers. And then you go to the weak side of the field, and you trust your guys to try to make some moves, and your line's supposed to get out there and pull some blocks. But again, they didn't get off the line. So he checked with the Hawkeye Nation like you. Hey, relax. Bowl game list, those snaps were awful. Yeah. Go Big Red, coach. Bowl game list, 1 Oklahoma, 2 Florida, 3 Clemson. Florida, DJ Lagway versus Dylan Raiola, battle of the true freshmen. That sounds fun. That sounds like it would be a lot of fun. Florida has been very inconsistent this year, too. I feel like that'd be a fun game. SEC versus Big Ten, true freshman versus true freshman, the two that people were arguing about who's better than who. Lagway hasn't played as much this season, but had a great game today. So I think that Florida game is very, very intriguing. Oklahoma would be good if they make a bowl game. Definitely not Clemson. Clemson to me is an overrated team pretty much year in and year out. Is Oklahoma going to make a bowl this year? Let me look at Oklahoma's. Who do they got? Let me just go check on this real quick. Oklahoma Sooners football. Okay, they're playing Alabama today. I remember that. So who do they got next? So they're 5-5. LSU next week. That's not an easy game by any stretch, but LSU has been very susceptible this year and has led a lot of teams. I mean, honestly, South Carolina, I think it was, or was it Mississippi State or South Carolina, put up like 31 or 33 on them and missed the game-winning field goal like in week 2 or 3. They kind of seemed overrated at that point to me, and they've had a couple of good games, but for the most part, they've been very inconsistent. So, but Oklahoma has been pretty bad this year, so we'll see how they perform against Alabama. But very interesting to see if they can, for sure. Notre Dame 14, Army 7. Man, I got to root for Army against Notre Dame. I got to root for the service academies when I can. Maybe not Alabama this week and LSU next week. They're going to definitely be the underdog in the LSU game. I just think LSU can be beat for sure. Notre Dame Army just in the second quarter. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate the update. Send the Huskers to Hawaii for a bowl game. Dylan Raiola playing in Hawaii again. You know, he played in the Polynesian Bowl out there. Being able to go out there and play there, that would be fun. That'd be fun. Talk about hot seat coaches, Oklahoma and LSU. Brian Kelly, man, it's not going well. And they lost their top quarterback recruit, the top quarterback in the country, committed to Michigan. Flipped from LSU to Michigan. Then they lost I think it was a wide receiver commit right after. Things are not going well in LSU Nation. The natives will be hot about the influx of Husker Howleys that invade their islands. That's true. Do you think we'll have the true air raid Holgorsen offense in the bowl game? I don't think so. When you talk about a true air raid, there's been a lot of different variations over time of Holgorsen's air raid. In West Virginia, 2016, that team averaged over 200 yards a game on the ground. So he has really worked on balancing this air raid out, and you had to be able to, be successful in modern college football. You have to be able to have balance, and I think he knows that. So I think he's going to have a true air raid in terms of a lot of his passing concepts, in terms of really just trying to make the reads as simple as possible and give Raiola the biggest windows he can, spread the field out, get those wider splits. But I still think in terms of play calling, it's not going to be constantly using the pass as your run game, as we saw today. Um, there's balance there. So when it comes to a true air raid, a lot of people were talking about, throwing the ball. But that's an air raid of old. It's adapted. It's we've seen it time and time again with Holgerson, and he's had success in recent years with it. So I think we're seeing a lot of the balance that he wants to do today, but I think we're going to see a lot of his passing concepts implemented next season, and that's reason for optimism for sure. I think it will look like it did today. Yeah, 100%. I don't think air raid is appropriate. Holgerson runs a pretty balanced offense. Yeah, I think air raid is just in term of the schemes, right? The concepts of the air raid is what I talked about. We're spreading the reasoning behind the offense. But there's a way to balance that, right? Yeah. Your passing concepts can still be air raid. And a lot of people think that's just pushing the ball down the field. It's not. It's really kind of working the underneath, and you can set that deep ball up. It's working the outsides to set the middle of the field run up. You look at Holgerson's offense at Houston, most of the runs were off the center. And that is because he's designed his offense that way, to where you set it up, those wide splits, you get those guys out of the box, and you let your running back eat, because then he makes one or two guys miss, and he's right in space, as we saw today with Emmett. It's not like he makes a guy miss, makes another guy miss, and he's getting tackled after a yard. He breaks a couple tackles and he rumbles for 30, 35. So what happened to the defense, especially Gifford? Gifford has been rough all season. He has been the common denominator, and most of these explosive plays given up. I just don't think he's a good fit on this defense. I don't necessarily think he's a bad player. I think Giff is a good football player. I just don't think he's a good fit on this defense in terms of what he needs to do to be a safety. He doesn't have the eyes. He gets a little too mixed up, play actions, motions, route concepts, throw him off. Simple Ohio route concepts, stuff like that will throw him off, get his hips and his eyes out of place, and he can't recover. He does a bad job of letting things get behind him. And as a safety, you can't do that. Australia 14, Texas A&M 0. No, I'm just playing. That's kind of crazy, actually. Glad to see Barney getting more work. Yeah, me too. Like I talked about with Tank Dell, guys like that, these speedsters, these smaller guys, Tavon Austin, for instance, Tank Dell, those two guys are both guys that were undersized, and Tank Dell is successful in the NFL now. Developed those guys, was able to work to make them into successful college players, and turns out they were pretty good. And so that has to give us a lot of optimism in terms of what we're going to get with Corey Barney for sure. Skipper's senior day, you ain't wrong, Nathan, but that problem graduates. And I think we're going to see a lot of this stuff clean up when some of these guys graduate for sure. Gifford has been awful. Yeah. Can you bring recruits to bowl games? I don't think so. I could be mistaken, but I don't know. I don't think you can bring them on like officials. They might be able to come on unofficials, but I don't know if you can bring them on official visits to bowl games. With the rules changing in college football as much as they are, especially with the transfer portal and all that, it's hard to keep up. But let me see. Can players? Let me see if they can do their OV. Two bowl games. Let's see. It says NCAA. Oh, as of 2023. So it says NCAA Division I schools can pay for transportation, meals, a 2-night stay, and reasonable entertainment for recruits and up to 2 family members as of July 1st, 2023. So that's good to know. That's good to know. So effective July 2023. So that's a recent rule change. So that's a positive recent rule change for Nebraska now that you can bring them to bowl games. Now we made one. Boise is losing. I like Dowdle, but I don't think he fits in this offense. I think his role is just exactly what he's doing, but I don't necessarily know. He was a top 10 back in the 23 class. Does he accept that role, or does he want to go somewhere he feels like he's going to be the guy? We'll see. We'll see. But I think he fits in terms of being able to close the game out, coming out in goal line situations. But he knows how to run into people. And I think at a past life, he was a hurdler because that man loves to jump. And it got him into trouble a couple times where Ohio State left his feet, couldn't get over the line, got pushed back. And then at that point, you can't drive your legs. You're on top of the pile and forward progress has stopped. So is Emmett a sophomore or a junior? I think he's a redshirt sophomore. So he will, because he's already used his red shirts. Sophomore. So man, feel excited about that. 198 yards of offense. Ja'Cory Barney had 96. Riley was 28 for 38 for 293. And this could have been a worse score if those 2 touchdowns weren't dropped by Nair and Banks. Surprising to see a couple drops by Banks. Again, better hands than a lot of people. Had 0 drops at Wake last season. Didn't have a lot of drops this season, but Riley was putting them where they needed to be all game. Dowdle can serve a purpose, not necessarily our go-to back, but he has value. Yes, absolutely. How do you think this game help recruiting? Oh, immensely. Again, when you got a guy like a Michael Terry, who's not necessarily worried about NIL money, Michael Terry, again, really liked the way Nebraska was going to utilize him. He liked the way Nebraska was going to utilize him more than any other school. Texas were battling proximity to home. And of course, they're a top 5 team. If you haven't had much of a difficult schedule this year, but you have to think when players, they're looking out for their best interests and they're going to go to a place that they feel sets them up best for their development and getting to the NFL. So you have to feel pretty confident in the fact that we're putting an offense out there on film that players like him are going to be able to see and think, oh, I can work in this offense. Whereas with Satterfield's offense, that would have been a lot tougher. And 2 seasons of that would have been really tough. And I think Matt Rule recognized that. To get some of these guys in the portal, you got to be sure to give them an opportunity because some of these guys in the portal want to transfer so they can be the guy and they can put up numbers. And you got to give them that opportunity. And now I think they're going to see an offensive surge here that they really feel positive about joining this offense. So I think it helps it immensely. And again, just having those 14 extra practices, that's the biggest part of this. That is the most underrated part of a bowl game is those extra practices. That's going to make this team that much better. Husker hug, love you, brother, but I got to go watch our gals slap the taste out of the Badgers' mouths. I'm going to as well. Sophomore. In this RPO world, there are very few featured backs. Yeah, but you got to have that trusted guy that you can give the hot hand to and ride it. And that's what we haven't done this season. As soon as a running back will get hot, it seemed like we'd flip it and rotate him out or just start throwing the ball. And we couldn't get anybody in a rhythm. So it was nice to see that for sure. Called at halftime the Nebraska team could win any game. Yes. Score prediction for the Iowa game. And I haven't had a lot of time to put thought into that one because I've been breaking down this game. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you that Tuesday. Tuesday on my live stream, I'll have that for you because I want to give you a educated prediction, not just something randomly thrown out. But Iowa ran the ball, if I'm not mistaken, 58 times today. Let's see. Where's Iowa? See, even the ESPN doesn't want to show me Iowa. Penn State barely survived Minnesota. That's actually kind of crazy. All right, let me go to the Big Ten standings here and find them. There's Iowa. All right. They beat Maryland 29-13. Okay. Caleb Johnson, 35 carries. Kamari Moulton, 12 carries for 114 yards. Yeah, 58 carries. 58 carries for 268 yards, 4.6 per carry, 2 touchdowns. Jackson Stratton, the quarterback that came in for the injured quarterback, he did not leave the team. He clarified that. He is, I think he said he got a concussion or something like that. So Jackson Stratton came in 10 for 14, 76 yards at 5.4 per attempt. So I think we can expect they're probably not going to air out the ball a ton with Jackson Stratton. And that plays into Nebraska advantage for sure. And while Iowa is tough on defense, they have been a lot more susceptible this year. Ohio State beat the absolute brakes off of them. I think that was 35-7, something like that. And that's the Ohio State film I watched, was against Iowa. I was the all-22 I watched to prepare for the Ohio State game. So I'll be able to watch back through that. But I really want to get their offensive film from what it looked like with this quarterback and see what kind of stuff they were running there. 34-17 is my guess. That would be fantastic. Yeah, they threw 12 times. Yeah, unbelievable. 58 rushes. All right, well, I'm sure a lot of y'all are about, what do you think of the game being a night game? Oh, I love it. I love it. I am always going to side with night games. It just brings a different energy and electricity, and that's what a lot of people have the issue with Fox Big Noon Kickoff is it's just a different vibe at night. You know, everybody has time to, get some drinks in for the game, get fired up, and it's just a big party in the stadium. Whereas the early games, everybody's still kind of waking up. When I go out there with my cousin for the games and my family, for the morning games, we get to the bar at like 6 a.m., an hour before it opens, just to get our spot down there. And that's an early morning. That's an early morning for sure. So that night games, I love night games. But all right, gone for about an hour and a half. Like I said, I don't want to keep y'all past the volleyball game. So go Big Red in that volleyball game. Coming off the Creighton win last week, got to win today. Can double it up with the Wisconsin win in volleyball. Will we ever throw with Harburg this season? I don't think we should. I don't think we should a lot. The one game he came in and had success throwing, the defense was playing off at that point. And he had some success, but again, that was at the very end, defense playing off, not allowing anything over the top. And so he was able to have success. Dion, where the heck you been, man? I was literally about to sign off, and Dion hops in here. What's up, Dion? I appreciate you. By the way, I'm sorry I scheduled this at 4:50 in the morning instead of 4:50 p.m. Sorry if that threw you off a little bit. I saw your comment in there, so that's my bad. We did it, though, Dion. I appreciate you. I couldn't have done it without you. Nebraska could not have done it without you. Good night, man. Appreciate you, Coach Kudaback. Appreciate you hopping in here. Appreciate you, Gregory. Thank you so much. Everybody who commented and joined in with me, thank y'all so much, man. Y'all make this thing go. Y'all keep it fun for me. So I appreciate each and every single one of you. Tuesday live stream. Yeah, exactly. Tuesday live stream, 6 p.m. Central. You can catch me there. And we'll be breaking down the Iowa game, going into a little bit more of what I saw, a little bit of the advanced analytics of what I saw, and breaking that down in detail. So y'all stay tuned for that. And with that being said, I will see you on Tuesday. Peace.